Okay guys, welcome to our beginner handstand follow along workout. Now for this one, I'm going to be doing it a little differently. I'm going to be doing it a vlog style because there's a little bit of moving around the gym. So that's why that is, and be interested to see how you like it anyway. So for this workout, you're going to need some wall space, preferably not with a lot of plants or furniture around it. Somewhere that you can actually pop your feet on the wall is going to work well. You're going to need somewhere to hang from, and then maybe just some yoga blocks or something. So you don't need a lot of equipment, but you do need some stuff. Oh, and one weight. You'll need a weight, sort of light to moderate, just for doing a couple of hamstring stretches. So the way that handstand workouts go, if you're new to this, which you're watching the beginner workout, so you probably are, your wrists might get a little sore. So we pair handstand exercises with some flexibility stuff. As you go through your handstand journey, it's going to be very likely that you're going to want to do certain things like a press to handstand, stole to press, and some other bits and pieces. Having flexibility really helps with a lot of these movements that we're going to do. So that's why we pair flexibility exercises. Plus it gives your wrists a bit of a break. So before we get into any handstanding, we need to do a warm up. We're going to warm up our wrists and our shoulders. That's the most important part. And then we're going to go into some handstand drills. Now, the handstand drills and some of the hanging and stuff, if you can't complete the required amount of time, you can accumulate it. So we're going to be doing a 60-second passive hang and a 60-second chest to wall handstand. If this is just out of your comfort zone, or you just don't have the strength just yet, that's okay. Just come down when you can, and we will build the strength as we go. There's going to be some points in this workout where I tell you to pause and then complete your reps. I will explain the drill, then you're going to hit pause, do all of the reps, and then come back and hit play, and we'll carry on. So let's get started. Our first one today is going to be a passive hang. So I'm going to jump on this one here. Oh, no, I'm not. Sorry, live TV. We'll go to this one. Okay. So we've got a 60-second hang. So I'm going to put my timer on here. We've got 60 seconds. Time is on. Now, it's a passive hang, so we want to make sure that your feet are off the ground and our shoulders aren't active. So we're relaxing, really letting the gravity take hold, stretching through your shoulders, stretching through your spine, and just really allowing everything to relax. Now, you can feel free to move around, wiggle your way around. If you find that you just can't hold on for that long, pop your feet on the ground just to take some of the weight, but notice my hands aren't letting go. So I'm still holding on, still passive through my shoulders, but I've taken some weight through my toes. That's the best thing to do. If you still can't hold on, that's fine. The strength will come. Then you can just let go completely and accumulate your 60 seconds. So if you need to do that, just hit pause now, and then we will accumulate. If we're still hanging, we're almost there. And that's time. So that was our first 60-second hang. Now, up next, we're going to warm up the wrists and shoulders. So let's make sure you can see me on the ground there. Now, when we are warming up our wrists for handstands, it's really important that we are giving them enough. So a lot of the time I see people do some stuff like this, then they get into it. This is not going to prepare your wrists to hold your entire body weight upside down, and they're not used to doing that. Our wrists are not used to going into full extension like this and holding our full body weight. So we want to give them the best chance of success and really warm them up properly. So there's a lot of different ones you can do here. I always like to start with what I would call feel the floor. So I'm just rolling my hands around on the floor, just trying to sort of mobilize each of those little bones within your hand. You can go backwards, feel it out, feel it on the backs of your hands, and just really begin to get some blood flow happening. Now, the next one we're going to do is going to be our first knuckle push-ups. So we've got our pointer fingers are going to be parallel to one another. we want to make sure that your shoulders are not behind your wrists. They're at least on top, preferably in front. And from here, we're going to tuck the butt under. We're going to push the shoulders towards the floor, and then we're going to push up off that first knuckle. So our first finger knuckle here, and I'll show you from the front, pushing up off that first knuckle. Now my thumbs are not doing any work. They might be on the ground, but I should be able to just lift them up, okay? So if you want to make this harder, knees go back further, lean forward a little more and add some weight. If you want to make it even harder, then we go up to your feet. So we're going to go through 20 of these, but I don't want you just blopping up and down like that. We really want to make sure that we are pushing up, and then as we go down, controlling the down, like you would with like a calf raise or something. So we're warming up and then back down. Also, I do have quite hypermobile hands, so yours might look something more like that, and that's fine. Just go to your limit. My fingers are not normal. So we're going through, let's do another 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice. Shake it out. Now the next one we're going to do is our fin push-ups. So fingers together like this, down on the ground. From there we're going to come forward. Now we want hands to chest, not to face. And from there we're going to push up, trying to get to this full flexion at the wrist. So from the side, you'll notice I'm not coming down like this with my face to my hands. I'm actually coming forward, chest to hands, trying to get your elbows straight at the top. So go through those. You're going to do 15. So if you've been doing them with me, do another 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and last one, 10. Nice. Again, if you need to shake it out, shake it out. Now we've got 3 more to go. So the next one, similar to the fin push-ups that we just did, this time we're going to make a fist, knuckles go together, and the exact same thing, but we don't want the fingers to come apart. You might find that you can't actually get a straight elbow. That's completely normal, especially at the beginning, but we want to sort of very slowly work into that straight elbow territory. You should be getting a pretty decent stretch around here. So we're going to do 15 in total, so finish off your reps or hip pause if you haven't done them yet. 2, do 5 more, 4, and 5. Nice. Now we've got 2 to go. First one, we're going to come as far into internal rotation as we can. From there, you're going to wriggle your hands around a little bit more, and we're going to straighten the elbows, push the shoulder blades away from the ground, tuck the bum under. And now what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to twist my hand back the other way against the ground. Now obviously because we've got it on the floor, it's not going to actually move, but we want to feel like we're trying to. That's the intention behind the movement. So we're pushing against the floor just for 10 seconds. Time on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bend the elbows, slowly come out. Now we're going to do the same thing, but external rotation. So externally rotating as far as you can, both hands. Once you're around, try to get them a little bit further. Now we're going to be pulling our shoulders back so they're not in front of our wrists, but behind. And we're trying to twist back around inwards. So going to back into that internal rotation. We're going to do that for 10 seconds. Time on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, we're going to leave it there for today for our wrist warm-ups, but there are many, many others that we can do, and the longer your handstand sessions are, the more prep we really need. So don't shy on the wrist prep. It's boring and it hurts, but it's very, very important. All right, now we're going to go to our wall. So find yourself wall space. I've got this one here behind me. Now, first of all, I'm going to show you how we bail from a handstand. So I'm going to go up into a chest to wall handstand and show you 2 different options of getting down, just so that you can be prepared. And then after that, you may want to hit pause so that you can practice what works best for you. So we're going to go up into our chest to wall handstands. So hands on the ground, feet on the wall. Now you might get here and think, there's just no way I'm getting any closer. That's fine. We're going to hold it here. That's totally, totally fine. The goal, and it might not happen today, but the end goal is to get as close to the wall as you can with nothing but your toes on the wall. And from here, this is where we're going to hold our 60 seconds. Now, to get down, you can either walk back out, but what I recommend is a cartwheel. So turning one hand to the side and then cartwheeling down to that side. So it's really important to know that before we get into our chest to wall handstand, that you're able to actually get back down again. So hit pause now, have a little practice of that, and then we'll get stuck into our chest to wall handstand. So hit pause. Okay, so you're back, you know how to bail, so that's great. Let's go into our chest to wall handstand for 60 seconds. So remember how you're going to bail. We're going to get ourselves a little clock. Now, I like to use a metronome. This here. How are we liking the vlog style, by the way? Please let me know. So I like to use a metronome. Show you. So this one here, I like to use that. You go in. I actually have it set to 57 beats per minute just so that I'm actually doing a little more work. But for today, we set it at 60 beats per minute. This means you don't have to look at a clock or anything. It's not the end of the world, but for a chest to wall handstand, looking at the clock isn't too bad. If you're doing an away from the wall handstand, sometimes it can be a little distracting. And so just being able to count the ticks from this is what it sounds like. Oh wait, microphone's here. So it just helps a lot. So let's get ready. I'm gonna go 60 seconds. I'll use my stopwatch for today so it doesn't take over the sound. We've got 1 minute on the clock. Pop that between your eyes. So when you're in your chest to wall handstand, I don't want your nose looking at the wall. I want you looking between your hands, but I'll explain a little more when we get up there. So time is on. So getting into position as close as you can to the wall. From here, we want nothing on the wall except our toes. We're also looking at the floor. So my head isn't under with my nose on the wall. I'm actually tilting my head up and I'm looking at the floor between my thumbs. Pretty much where the bottom of my phone is the goal spot to look. I'm also trying to hide my ears, so I'm not trying to have my head stuck right out like that. So I'm pushing, constantly trying to elevate, constantly trying to keep my body nice and tight so I'm not leaning on the wall or anything like that. Hovering just off the wall, toes are light on the wall. Imagine that the wall is made of paper and you don't want to break it. That's what we're going for. And then we're also trying to elevate, through our shoulders the entire time. Now, if you're still up here, great work. We've got 5 seconds to go. Wait for the dingle. There she is, coming down. So it's very important that we make sure you save enough energy to come down, whether that's a walkout or a cartwheel. If you can't yet achieve 60 seconds, do not worry. It will come. It's very rare that beginners can straight away get into 60-second chest to wall handstands, so don't worry, but it will come quite quickly so long as you're training it consistently. It's probably the most valuable drill that you can do when learning to handstand, but it's also probably the most boring. So I apologize for that, but it is what it is. Now we're going to pair that with some Jefferson curls. So you'll need yourself a little weight, not Jefferson curls. Sorry, we're going to do squat to pike. Now you can see that bench hopefully. Yeah. Grabbing yourself a little dumbbell, jumping up on your bench or box. We're going to allow the weight to pull us down. And from here, We're gonna try to keep the weight nice and low, so allow it to pull us down still while we straighten our legs and try to get both knees completely straight before sinking back down into it and then coming up again. Sorry if I'm puffing a lot, by the way. Talking and doing the exercises, definitely bringing your heart rate up. So we're gonna keep going through these. You're gonna do 8. So I think I've got 5 more. And making sure that the weight on these is heavy enough as well. Like, to experiment, if you're a bit unsure, obviously start light and then just work your way up until you find the weight that works best for you. For me, it's about 15 to 20 kilos is the sort of weight that feels the best. All right, so once we've done that, we're back to our chest to wall handstand. So this is where you hit pause and you go and complete those 2 things 2 more times. So we've got a 60-second or your max time chest to wall handstand, and then pairing that with 8 more squat to pikes. So hit pause, do that 2 more times, rest as much as you need. If your wrists start to hurt, you may need more rest. And if you can't get through all 3 rounds because of wrist pain or anything, that's okay. Again, it will come. So start with those and then come on back and we'll do our next drill. Okay, so hopefully you've hit pause and you've finished your exercises. Now we're going to be doing 2 more exercises. We're going to be doing a heel pull from the wall. Really, really valuable drill for learning how to control your balance, really. So I'll pop that up so you can see the wall. And we're going to be pairing that with a pigeon fold. So this is where you might need your yoga blocks, okay? So first of all, our heel pulls. Now, can you see the wall? Yes. Let's go like this. Okay, so we've got our heel pulls. Now, this is where we actually face the wall, kick up to the wall, and then we're going to pull our heels off the wall. However, lots of people make a very common mistake of just moving their heels off the wall. Now, I know that sounds like that's exactly what we want to be doing, but it's not. So what we actually want to be doing is generating force through our fingertips, keeping our body so tight that the heels naturally float away. So I'm going to kick up. Make sure you can see where I am. I'm going to adjust this a bit. How is this vlog style, seriously? Maybe it's not the best. Okay, so hopefully you can see my hands and my feet. We're going to kick up into a handstand. We want to be pretty close to the wall. If you're too far away, it makes it very difficult. From here, we're still looking at the floor. Notice I'm not looking up and at you. And from here, I'm not going to be taking my heels off like this. What I want to do is push my fingers into the ground, stay nice and tight, and then you'll see my heels, they just naturally float away from the wall, and then I'm in this handstand. We are going to try to accumulate 30 seconds in this position. If you feel like you're going to fall down, try to go back to the wall rather than falling down that way. So the goal here is to try to accumulate 30 seconds of balance when your heels have just floated off the wall. If this is your first time doing this drill, it can be so frustrating. Just hang in there. This is where the metronome comes in handy as well, because you can just count the ticks. So you get up to 5 seconds and then your feet fall back to the wall. Then you start counting again from 5 until you get to 30. So trying to accumulate 30 seconds, you're probably going to want to hit pause here and give that a go. Just remember, we're really trying to push with our fingertips. And if you're too far away from the wall, it'll be very, very difficult. Very difficult. Stay nice and tight and be patient. It's coming. Try not to just let your heels bounce off the wall. It's a very common mistake people make, but it's just not going to teach you anything, that's all. Now, you're back. I assume you have completed your heel pulls. We are doing some pigeon folds. So, it's not very good lighting. Let's go back here again. So, pigeon folds. For this one, grab yourself a couple of yoga blocks. Start with more than you think, because then we can sort of ease into it. Now we're going to place both yoga blocks on the ground. My knee is hanging off the front. My knee is not on top of them. My knee is hanging off the front. My hips are square, and from here we're going to be folding forward, trying to keep the hips square, trying not to let them open up, and trying to keep almost a 90-degree angle at this front knee here. So going forward and back. We're going to be doing 10 of those on each side. If this feels pretty achievable, drop it down to 1 and complete those reps. If that again still feels pretty achievable, then do them straight on the floor. That's definitely fine. So you're going to do 10 reps of those on each side. After that, you're going to go back to the heel pulls and you're going to complete those again, accumulating 30 seconds again before coming back and doing more pigeon folds, 10 on each side. So hit pause now, and then when you come back, we will go into the final pairing of our exercises. Okay, so you're back. You've hit pause. I trust you. Now, we are going to do toe pulls and something else. Okay. Live TV. Toe pulls, oh, and a couch stretch. And then we're going to finish off with some donkey kicks, which is the fun part, basically. So after we've done all the work, that's when you get to have the fun. So now we're going to do toe pulls, very similar to our heel pulls. So we'll need the wall again, but this time we're actually in a chest to wall position. So we're going to be coming up into the wall, chest to wall. From there, we're going to be doing the same as we did before, creating that tension through our body until our toes gently float away from the wall. Really trying not to let them bounce. Now, anytime that we're trying to find balance in a handstand from the wall, we need to move slowly, because if we move too fast, you'll go beyond that point of balance and you'll fall over. Our point of balance, although when we're standing, feels pretty easy, when we're upside down, it's not. We're learning it. So we need very small adjustments as we go. So this time, chest to wall handstand. If you don't yet have a close chest to wall handstand, you won't be able to do this drill, but that's okay. You can still do the heel pulls drill. And work on that one for a little while until you build the confidence to get close to the wall. So getting into our chest to wall handstand, all the way up, again, as close as we can. From here, I'm tight, so I'm not sagging into my shoulders and my hips or anything. I'm pushing up and I'm nice and tight. I'm going to slowly shift my weight forward over my hands until my toes come off the wall, as you can see. If they go back on, that's good. Start again. Elevating, pulling off the wall, finding that float position. Now remember, I'll show you a fail. So if you want to fail from this position, if I'm going to fall, a cartwheel down to the side. If you can turn that hand first, great, but otherwise cartwheeling down to the side is much safer. So if you feel like you're losing control and you're going to go over backwards, use your fingers, and you do need to use them in the ground, like quite hard. If it's not working, just cartwheel to the side, much safer. So we're going to do the same here, accumulate 30 seconds worth of balance time. Again, if you are not yet at this point where you can get close to the wall, that's totally okay. Actually, what we can do instead for you guys, we're going to go into an L position. So you're going to sit down on the ground. You're going to put your feet on the wall like this. Where my bum bones are, here, that's where I'm going to put my hands. So putting one hand, spinning around, putting the other hand in your position. From there, we're going to come up onto the wall, and we're going to walk our feet down until our hips are stacked over your shoulders. From there, you're going to lift one leg off the wall, doesn't matter which one, until your other foot, the one that's on the wall, starts to float, and you'll see it's nice and light. From here, we're going to try the same thing, just trying to accumulate a little bit of balance. Now, because we've got this foot here, it's very unlikely that you're going to topple over backwards like that. If you do, just do that cartwheel and you'll be completely safe, or you can step back down. One of the scariest things about learning to handstand is understanding the feeling of when your hips get stacked above your shoulders, and it can be very scary. So allowing yourself time to practice with these positions, to get into those positions, really, really helps. All right, so toe pulls, whichever variation you're using, do those 2 times, trying to accumulate 30 seconds of balance, and then come back, and the last drill we're going to do is just some really fun donkey kicks. So learning how to kick up in the middle of the room, basically. I'm going to move you guys, and then so we're here, Okay, so I assume you've hit pause and you're now back for our final drill. Move this out of the way. Now, donkey kicks. This is where we just kick up into the ground. There are two ways that we can do a kick up. We can start from standing here and simply throw our hands onto the ground to kick up, or we can have our hands on the ground already, stack the shoulders over the wrists, and then plop our way up like that. I don't mind which one you do. The second one with the hands on the ground will offer a little bit more control and learning to understand what is required of the handstand. If you're more comfortable doing the other one, this end part is really for a little bit of fun. Also, obviously, to learn how to stack the hips over the shoulders in a handstand. Now, two things that can go wrong here. If you kick up and you just find you keep falling back that way, it's because your hips are not getting stacked over your shoulders. So if I start like this, my shoulders are behind my hands and my hips are all the way back here, it's going to be really hard for me to stack everything. So first things first, stacking the shoulders over the wrists. Bringing that foot a little bit closer so that when we do kick, the hips come over the shoulders a lot more easily. Now I fell back down that way because I didn't stack them enough. So stacking the shoulders, kicking up, stacking the hips over the shoulders. Now notice I'm keeping my feet apart. I do this as long as I need until I start to find the balance. When I find the balance point, then I slowly bring my feet together like that and try to maintain it. One big mistake I see people make is they kick up and they straight away bring their feet together and fall back down. This makes it so hard to find the balance because there's too many moving pieces. So stay in that split position, kick up, make sure the shoulders are stacked first, then kick up and try to get the hips stacked over the shoulders. Keeping in that split position, it's easier to balance, and then very slowly bring them together. So that concludes our handstand workshop. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learnt something. And yeah, let me know what you think of this chaotic vlog style. Follow along, and yeah, please tag me in your videos with your handstands. I love to see it. If you have any questions about it or technique tips, or you want some technique tips, anything like that, comment below. I am always happy to answer.